Adama Traore'S return to Spain, Real Madrid, Barcelona or Atletico, part 3 of 4. Before you watch this video, check out part 1, which looks at Adama Traore'S improvement from 2015 to this season, from a statistical point of view. Part 2 of this series looks at why Adama Traore is so valuable, looking at his skill set and how important it is for every team. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on part 4, which will look at Adama Traore'S potential transfer to other clubs in Europe. That video, like this one, will look at Traore'S role in each side from a tactical point of view, looking at the role he would play in each team system. That should be linked in the description below when it comes out. Also, check out my video series looking at 3 managerial options to replace Solskjaer at Manchester United, which will also be linked in the eye above and in the description below. So having looked at Traore'S development from a statistical point of view and why his skill set is so valuable, let's look at different teams that are rumoured to be interested in him and how he would fit into their systems. Traore has only just turned 24 and would likely cost around 60 to 70 million. For the purpose of this series, I will assume that all the clubs I look at in this series will be willing to pay that sort of money. I will exclude clubs that 1 aren't a good fit for Traore, 2 do not need Traore and 3 are not financially capable of signing him at this current point. So Real Madrid are currently looking good in La Liga, but in the summer Zidane will look to add to his squad with a few key players either aging or looking out of favour. With Marco Asensio still recovering from injury and Gareth Bale edging closer to an exit, Zidane may look to bring in a wide attacker who can bring some pace and dribbling ability to the attack. Adama Traore would certainly fit this bill, with Zidane using a 4-2-3-1 shape that is very fluid when Madrid get into the middle and attacking thirds. Real tried to get 2 players into the half spaces, which is the space in behind the central midfield. This usually means Modric pushing up higher and the left winger moving inside. Valverde has been playing as an unconventional right midfielder in the past few months. Rather than stretching the pitch, he often moves inside into a narrow position to create a narrow midfield 5. This is designed in order to allow players like Kroos and Modric and Casemiro to freely move up the pitch into the area known as Zone 14. With Valverde often being tasked with moving into the midfield double pivot to provide a stable base to circulate possession. This has meant that Real Madrid often lack advanced width in the attack, allowing the opposition to remain in a compact shape, as seen with the first half against Atletico Madrid a few weeks ago. Zidane has used players like Vinicius Jr. on the left and Lucas Vazquez on the right to provide some pace out wide, but Traore would be a big improvement in this respect. Vinicius is a lot better playing on the left and Vazquez is a winger more focused on interplay down the channel, rather than using his dribbling ability to advance the attack forward. However, Traore would provide this in abundance. I've already analysed Traore's skill set and in particular his dribbling metrics in my previous video, so check that one out if you are interested, but just to be brief, he's one of the best players in the world at carrying the ball past the opposition, as seen with the fact that he ranks 3rd for dribbles completed in all of Europe, only behind Neymar and Messi. Zidane could use Traore as an outlet on the right flank, stretching the pitch and the opposition's defensive unit. Traore is a much better threat with the ball at his feet than Lucas Vazquez or Valverde, so likely the opposition will push their fullback and left-sided midfielder slightly wider to negate this potential threat, which will open up spaces for players like Modric and Hazard to move into. Real Madrid's main attacking plan is to feed the ball into their midfielders in this so-called Zone 14, the space in behind the opposition's midfield. Traore is in this sense a mechanism that Zidane could use in order to force the opposition to play into Madrid's strategy. In Europe, Zidane is also known to use a slightly more counter-attacking approach, which relies on attackers who can carry the ball to quickly transition the attack. Traore would vastly improve Madrid's ability to do this. Traore has completed 5.5 dribbles per game this season, whilst Ferland Mendy from left back has completed the most dribbles in the Madrid team this season with 2.2 per game. This shows just how much of an improvement Traore would be in this area. Real Madrid have the financial power to spend £150 to £200 million this summer, and their squad is in pretty good shape with only maybe a central midfield replacement for Luka Modric needed, which could come in the form of Paul Pogba. This would mean that Real Madrid could spend 60 to 70 million on Traore and still have the funds for improvements they need in other areas. At Barcelona, rather than being used as a right winger, Traore could be used as an offensive right back by Quique Setien. Setien has been either using a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 diamond system, both of which require fullbacks to advance high up the pitch and play almost as conventional wingers. In the left back slot, both Junior Firpo and Jordi Alba are very good attacking wingbacks, capable of running in behind their fullback or beating them in a one-on-one situation to then deliver into the box. On the right side, Nelson Semedo isn't as good going forward, which means that this is an area Quique Setien could look to improve. Traore hasn't played as a conventional fullback before, but he should be able to adapt to this kind of fullback role in the Barcelona side. This is because he has been used as a right wing back in a back five, and as he will be required to do in this Barcelona side, was tasked with leading the attacks by progressing the ball quickly with his dribbling and playing like a winger in possession. If we compare Traore to Semedo, we can see the offensive improvement that the Wolves man would bring. This season Traore has completed 5.5 dribbles per game, which is over 3 times as many as Semedo's with 1.5 per game. Traore has an expected assist rate in the Premier League of 5.74, which ranks him 9th in the entire league. This shows that if Traore was used at right back for Barcelona, they would have not just one of the best attacking fullbacks in Europe, but one of the best attacking wide players in Europe as well. As Setien is using either a wingerless system in a 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-3-3 where the wide forwards move into narrow positions, having a fullback who can essentially bring the same creative output of a top class winger will give Setien the potential queen chess piece he has been looking for. In the 4-4-2 diamond system when in possession, Messi would look to move into the half space rather than pull out wide, which would leave massive amounts of space on the flanks for Traore to move into. As the opposition looks to try to stop the ball being shifted out to Traore as much, they would position their wide left players slightly wider to cope with this, which would in turn open up space in the right sided half space for Messi to move into. As he could be used for Real Madrid, Traore would be used as a ploy to force the opposition to play into Barcelona's hands by indirectly creating more space for Messi. Whilst Traore would be an expensive signing for Barcelona to make, it could be the signing that begins to see the establishment of the creative fullback into European football. Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool and Robertson to a lesser degree have already gone a long way to prove this. Alexander-Arnold has the second highest expected assist rate in the Premier League this season, behind only Kevin De Bruyne. This shows that Arnold is not just an excellent offensive fullback, but is an excellent offensive player, and that for the first time since arguably Dani Alves at Sevilla in the mid-2000s, we are beginning to see a fullback being the side's key creative player. Traore could become this for Barcelona. Obviously Messi would still be Barcelona's creative focal point, but having Traore at right back would be like having another top class attacker on the pitch, and a player who has such a unique skill set that he'd be an attacking asset for his side. Instead of doing this with his crossing and long passing ability, as Alexander-Arnold does at Liverpool, he'd do this with his incredible dribbling ability, creating a similar threat to the one that Gareth Bale gave Tottenham from 2010 to 2012. Even though 70 million is a huge amount to spend on a fullback, Traore has looked like a unique type of fullback and almost an additional attacker in possession. Fullbacks like Cafu, Roberto Carlos, Dani Alves and now Alexander-Arnold were seen as specialised fullbacks and would be worth a lot more than a regular fullback due to their attacking creativity that they would bring, and for me Traore is the same. So if moves to Barcelona and Real Madrid didn't materialise, Atletico Madrid could be an option for the Wolves winger. Simeone could use Traore on the right of a midfield 4 in his 4-4-2 shape. Atletico play a deep compact structure when out of possession and look to use a quick transition and attacking style when in possession, which is a style of play that Traore currently plays in under Nuno. Traore would be a great signing for Atletico as he would bring a unique skill set to the Atletico side. This because Atleti do not really have anyone who can dribble with the ball from deep into attacking positions. Felix is a very good dribbler, but he plays in a front two, so he's usually higher up the pitch, and therefore isn't the player to move the ball from the middle to the attacking third. Vitolo and Thomas Partey have completed the most dribbles in La Liga for Atletico, with 1.5 per game, which is the 25th most in the league. Compare this to Traore's 5.5 per game in the Premier League, and we can see the massive improvement that he would be in this area. This lack of ability to transition the attack quickly via a dribble has hampered Atletico's attack in play over the last few seasons. With Simeone's conservative style of play, the wide midfielders being natural central midfielders and a lack of ball carrying ability, Atletico's attacks have been based around playing a long direct ball from back to front and hoping that the front two can hold up the ball and bring the midfield into play. Their fullbacks Trippier and Lodi aren't really ball carriers in terms of being able to dribble past players. They are far better at moving onto the ball in wide areas and then whipping in across from deep. On the right of midfield, Simeone could use Traore in a similar way to how he has been deployed in Nuno's 5-4-1 this season. At Wolves, instead of using Traore as an inside forward who makes his moves into central zones like Jota does on the left, Nuno adapted the system to get Traore into positions where he can isolate the fullback in a one-on-one. Instead of Doherty, the right wing back, overlapping him, Traore pulls out wide and allows Doherty to underlap him. This suits Traore as when Doherty underlaps, he pulls away an opposition player from Traore, giving him more space to receive the ball and dribble at the left back. Simeone could do this in a similar way for Atletico. When in possession, Traore would pull out wide, stretching the pitch. The full-back Kieran Trippier would underlap him, finding himself in the half space. If the opposition wide midfielder goes with Trippier's run, this opens up space for Traore. If he pulls out wide to create a 2v1 with the left back, a pass can be slipped inside to Trippier in the half space. This should adapt to Atletico's offensive game plan and make them less dependent on playing direct balls into Felix and Morata and expecting them to progress the attack. Traore's likely price of 70 million would be an expensive outlay for Atletico. However, because Traore would bring a radical change to Atletico's attacking ability, allowing them greater possession of the ball in the final third, he may be a signing worth making. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel, check out part 1 and 2 and part 4 if it's been released. They will all be linked in the description below.